Hello, welcome to Frag Radio, video podcast that showcases veterans and veterans and civilians both doing good things in the veteran community. Today's guest is going to be Earl Grandville. How's it going, Earl?
Doing good, Nick. Thanks for having me, bud.
Thanks for coming on the show. Why don't we start off by having you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Sure. Uh, I'm a 9-year veteran in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. I was an infantryman. I joined during peacetime a few months before 9/11 happened. I joined with my twin brother Joseph and my cousin Paul. And right in the middle of boot camp, the towers got hit. So I joined for an education, and that kind of went out the window. I had more important things to do, obviously. And did 3 tours. On my 3rd tour, I lost my leg from a roadside bomb. 2 of my buddies were killed instantly. Specialist Derek Holland, he lived in Wind Gap, Pennsylvania, and Major Scott Haggerty of Stillwater, Oklahoma. All I could say, man, is I got very, very, very lucky, and I'm grateful. And a lot of other crazy things happen a little later on in life. We'll get into that later, though. But what I do now is I work for 2 nonprofits, Operation Enduring Warrior and Oscar Mike, both veteran-owned and run. And we help wounded vets live an active lifestyle. And I go to school at the University of Scranton for counseling and human services.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, fellow Pennsylvanian.
Oh, yeah, man. I saw Pottstown, and I got happy there.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome, man. So why don't you tell everybody what you're doing right now?
Well, right now, at this moment, I'm in New York City, and I have a few events this weekend. I'm speaking here on behalf of the Achilles Freedom Team. Achilles is an organization. It's been around for about 40 years now, and Achilles is an international group that helps people with disabilities run marathons. They have a kayak team and so on and so forth. And there's a little 4-miler in Central Park they do every year. Easy day, watching some of these guys get out there. A lot of kids, too, get out there and just kick ass in Central Park. How I get involved with these guys is I'm part of the Freedom Team chapter, which is a team full of wounded vets. And our chapter is, a little over 10 years old. We started after 9/11, and I joined them in 2009. And it's been pretty cool, man. You guys probably saw all over Facebook the guy carrying his guide over the finish line of the Boston Marathon with a prosthetic leg, and she was holding up the American flag. That was myself and my guide, Andy, and we were running on behalf of Achilles. So you probably saw the jersey.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So since you brought it up right now, what's the symbol? Why'd you do it? Why'd you carry her across? Why don't you give us a little backstory on the Boston Marathon, your marathon career, because Boston's not the only marathon that you've done, and right, why you did that at the end of the Boston Marathon, because that was pretty awesome.
Well, this is my first marathon running. Every other marathon I've hand biked, and I'll start off of how I decided to run this year. So one of my team members his name is Stefan Leroy. He's a vet. He lost both his legs, one above the knee, one below the knee. And back in 2015, I ran the relay of the Detroit Marathon, and I saw him out there. I thought I've known him for a little while, and I saw him running the course, and I was like, oh, I guess he's running the relay too. So at the end of the course, I said, what leg of the relay did you run? Because I saw you out there. And he said, no, I actually ran the half. I was like, damn, you got no legs. He's like, I want to run a fucking half now. So I ran 2 half marathons after that. And then last year, I hand biked the Boston Marathon. And I saw he was running the marathon, and it was his first full marathon. So when I finished, I obviously got done first just because I'm on a bike and it's faster. And I watched him cross the finish line. And when he crossed, he said to me, you got to run this next year. You know that, right? And I was like, well, he called me out, man, so I got to fucking do it now. And, we fast forward a year later. My guide, Andy, she's a friend of mine. I asked her, she's done a lot of Go Rucks and Spartan races with me, so I thought she'd be the perfect one to, guide with me through this. And it was literally a spur of the moment. It we took a left on a Boylston, and there's like zero point 0.3 miles left. You could see the finish line. The crowd is running the energy, and I just said, "Yo, let me buddy carry you across." So the last 50 feet, I just picked her up, and she's holding up Old Glory, and we crossed the finish line, man. It was I had no idea the cameras were still on. I had no idea that it would turn into what it did, but it did, and I thought I'd use this time to kind of pitch about a little bit what I do and the adversity I faced after losing my leg, and helping people out battle, mental health issues that they may be dealing with, just from my ideas.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I know that picture of you crossing the finish line, or little video pictures, it really blew up, went nuts.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah.
The next day I woke up and I'm getting phone calls left and right from, Spartan Race's headquarters was right down the road from the hotel where, ironically, they had me come in for a live feed interview on their Facebook. Fox News was calling me that morning, and I was on Fox News twice since then, just talking about the experience, and it's just
Wow.
how it's been. But it's all good stuff, man. All good stuff. It helped me spread my my message.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into your message, how many marathons did you run before your incident?
Well, like I said, I ran Boston. Like, this is my first time actually running Boston, but before this incident, I've hand biked Boston 3 times. I've hand biked New York City twice, and Chicago, and a long time ago I hand biked Detroit. So quite a bit, and I've ruck marched the Army 10-miler, and
All right. How many marathons did you run before you lost your leg?
none.
So it was what made you go marathons? Like, you had 2 legs, you didn't want to do marathons, now you got 1 leg, and now you want to do marathons. What happened there?
When I lost my leg, I tell you what, before I got wounded, I had no desire to run a marathon, but I just wanted to challenge myself more and more and more. I feel like after I lost my leg, and just from my peers being at Walter Reed, we're going to hand bike with Achilles through the New York City Marathon, and that was back in 2010, and I was able to sign up, and I was one of the guys that was able to qualify to race with them. So I gave it a shot, and it
That's
just
awesome, man.
called after that, man.
Oh, that's awesome. No, you did. That's for anybody. I don't care, who you are, how strong you are. A marathon's a long time. Like, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, running one marathon in your life, regardless of who you are, is a big deal. And you've done so many, hand biking and running. It's impressive, man. I got to give you props for that.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, doing all this, having the opportunity to spread your message. What message are you trying to spread?
So, Nick, I'm going to go in a little bit about why I joined the military. Literally, I joined the PA Army Guard. I was senior year in high school. I had no desire to even really join the military. I'll be totally honest with you. And I joined at that time for educational benefits. Okay. And then, like I said earlier, while I was in boot camp, 9/11 happened, and my reason for joining changed. I'll be honest. This isn't about me anymore, and what could I get from this? But he had bigger and better things to do. So I got shipped to Bosnia right after boot camp with my twin brother and my cousin, Joe and Paul. Came home from Bosnia. It was the end of the Bosnian War. It was 2002 and 2003. There's nothing going on, really. We're just making sure Civil War didn't pick back up. Came home March 19th, 2003, and that date, if it sounds familiar, it's also the same day we invaded Iraq. We always had this joke, we're just going to go right over to Iraq. Well, about a year later, we got a warning order for Iraq, and it was a volunteer mission. And we all volunteered to go over there. And I'll be honest with you, I was thinking to myself going to Iraq, I'm going to do my minimum contract and get out. But, Nick, I don't know what it was, man. It was that camaraderie, man, that in situations that we were in. It wasn't even that we were always in danger or anything like that, but I just learned to love what I did. I got promoted as sergeant, so I became an NCO, started taking leadership roles, and I really enjoyed just what I was doing. And I decided to re-up over there, and I came home, And you there with me? You there, Nick?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, my phone rang. Um, we ended up. I came home, got back into school. We got a warning order for Afghanistan, another volunteer mission with a different unit, and I decided to go over. And my brother Joe told me, you know, we're supposed to be headed back over with our unit in about a year. So how about we just go together then? And I said, nah, man, I'm gonna go now. And that was a deployment I lost my leg on. And it was June 3rd, 2008, in Paktia Province, a little town called Zorma. And I got lucky. That's all I could say about it, man. I was moved last minute. It was one of those stories. I was put in the gunner's hatch, and also because I wasn't wearing my gunner's harness, that also saved my life. I always argued the gunner's harness. I understand what's the for in case the vehicle rolls over, but we hit an IED, you want to be blasted out, not staying, close to the blast.
Right.
And I was blasted out, which was, if you looked at the vehicle, that saved my life. And and my two buddies, Derek and Scott, they got killed. So I got lucky. That's all I could say about it. And I left Afghanistan with this optimistic approach, like, look, man, you got the second chance of life. Let's be happy about this. And I tell you what was about to happen, I didn't see it coming. And now when I reflect back on it and think about it, I remember my brother Joe, when he finally got the green light to come visit me at Walter Reed in Washington, D.C., he said to me, I should have fucking been there. And I was like, dude, like, look, life is good, man. Like, he was my twin, okay? But Joe always played that role of the older brother. It's just his personality. It's who we were growing up. Like, we were twins, but he was the older brother than me, and I was his younger brother. So when I lost my leg, I think he took a lot of guilt into this. And I tell you what, 2.5 years later, he took his own life. Staff Sergeant Earl Grandville. He was on active guard reserve when that happened. And I tell you what, Nick, losing my leg was the easy part. Losing Joe was probably the hardest thing I'll ever have to face. And
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
It is what it is, man. I started hitting a downward spiral. I started doing things I'm not proud of. I started making horrible decisions and treating the ones I love not the best, I guess you could say. Somebody reached out to me. Somebody who knew Joe through his civilian job said to me, your brother looked up to you a real lot and how you stayed active after you lost your leg. When I lost my leg, like I said, I handbiked the New York City Marathon. I learned how to snowboard again, and I played sled hockey, and I just wanted to stay active. Like, no, this isn't going to slow me down. And I thought to myself, well, would he be proud of me and the things I'm doing right now? And fuck no, I was being an asshole. So I changed a little bit, and I decided to be more active once again. And I started off small, and I just started ruck marching. I threw some weight in a ruck, and I did some miles. And I told my doctor I wanted to do the Army 10-miler. And if anybody's out there is familiar with the Army 10-miler, it's in Washington, D.C., and it starts and finishes at the Pentagon. It's kind of like a little loop. The last mile is on I-395. They close it off early in the morning for the race. So when I told my doctor I wanted to do this, he says, you're not allowed to run it yet. You could ruck, or you could walk it. So I decided to walk it, and I threw some weight in a rucksack, and I went that route. And Nick, when I tell you I came in last place, I came in fucking last place. Like, when I got to I-395, the last mile, it was open back up. There was a police car waiting for me to get there to escort me to the finish line because the highway is open back up and they don't want people walking on the highway. So I'm having this fucking police escort behind me and all this traffic, and all I thought, what I'm gonna do is piss everybody off. Is just take a fucking break right now. And I didn't do that, but I got off the exit. The finish line is torn down. I didn't get my coin, but to me, it didn't matter. I never thought I'd be able to do shit like that again.
Right.
So it just snowballed after that. I started doing CrossFit, got more involved in sled hockey. Adaptive ice hockey is, another way to put it. And life was getting better, I guess you could say. And I joined organizations like Operation Enduring Warrior and Oscar Mike that helps wounded veterans live an active lifestyle, where I actually took somewhat of leadership roles in these organizations. And there's a reason why I'm getting into all this, and I'll come back to it later. But, it's, to me, I didn't realize that at the time. I started doing all this shit and challenging myself, these Spartan races, these Go Rucks, these endurance events, all in honor of my brother. But I realized I wasn't doing it for Joe anymore. I was doing it for me. And I really enjoyed this shit. It became, quite a passion of mine. Well, to me, life was getting much better. And I feel like in our community, in the military community, a lot of us, we tend to get lost when we leave the military. And it sounds good. Oh, I've had enough of this. I don't want to get out. And it's easy to get lost. I mean, if you look at it, this culture that we're in, it's most of us join as soon as we become an adult. We're 18, 19, 20 years old, okay? No, we're on our own. We're adults. We join this culture that tells us what to wear, tells us what to do. We have our place to live. We have food on our food in front of us. Like, it's, you look back at it, you don't think about it when you're in that age, but maybe you take things for granted a little bit. But when you're removed from that culture, I feel like up here, that's when a lot of hardship happens. Because you don't know what to do with yourself, because all you know is combat boots and a rifle.
Right.
And I feel like that is one of the biggest adversities we face in this culture, is feeling lost, not being a part of something. Like, what do I do with my life now? And the reason why I say that, because we look at everything in this culture, is when somebody is struggling with mental adversity or hardship, everything is always like, oh, it's because you have post-traumatic stress. You went to combat and you're feeling depressed. Well, you're post-traumatic stress. And I am fucking sick and tired of putting that in a box and saying every single problem that you're dealing with up in here is post-traumatic stress. And you and I talked about it earlier before we went live. And look, man, life fucking happens. You have financial issues. You have a broken heart. You've got depression. You got guilt. You got stress. And those things, some of them may tie in with post-traumatic stress, but we can't put every single little thing in a box that we're facing up here and saying it's post-traumatic stress. I look at my adversity, the shit I was facing, where I had that thought of maybe I should take my life like my brother did. And that was a post-traumatic stress. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think about every day, the day I lost my leg. I was conscious for it. I remember everything. But it doesn't control my life. See what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It took me a while to get there. I saw a counselor, and I couldn't believe how much it was helping. Because I had that self-ego before I realized how important it was of, man, I could fucking handle this on my own. Hi, Kelly, by the way. I'll talk about Cindy later. I just thought to myself, I could handle this shit on my own. Life is good. I've been through heavier shit before. I can handle this. And what I didn't realize, like, how important it was to just spill my guts out and talk to people about it. You know what I mean? Like, that self-ego I had inside of me of thinking I could handle the shit on my own was turning into self-destructiveness. And how important it was to just let things out. But I had to, I don't want to say swallow my pride, because it's good to have pride in what you did. Just when it turns into self-ego, that's when it turns self-destructive. And, another thing too is I hear a lot of guys when I speak, is like, I don't want to talk to a counselor because how do they know what I've been through? And I said, you know what? A counselor's job isn't to understand fully 100% what you've been through. I said, do you think every drug addict, when they talk to a counselor, go through rehab, everybody else in there was once a drug addict? That's not how this shit works. Look, man, as humans, we're going to face this shit in our lives. And there's no getting around it, because at some point we're going to face all those things we talked about earlier: anxiety, stress, guilt. There's no getting around it. All right? So us in this community, I feel like when we got free free counseling for vet centers all across the country. I'm not talking about the VA. I mean just vet centers itself. And there's so many around this country, and it's free for military. You just got to show your DD-214s. And to be honest with you, most of those counselors are veterans. So anybody who gives me that bullshit excuse, how do they know what I've been through? Is like, you know what? And it ranged from all different battles, from Vietnam, Desert Storm, for our current events now. And I think that's what people need to understand. As humans, we're going to face this bullshit. And I think for the most part, we can handle this on our own. But when that shit gets too heavy, there's no problem with spilling your guts out and trying to recharge those batteries. Because I still do it now. And
Really?
You got to do it, man. You don't have to carry this shit by yourself. You know, one of the things I started also to do to help myself was refilling those gaps that I lost when I got out of the military. You know, I'm going to talk about Operation Enduring Warrior. You know, these guys right here on my shirt. So OEW, our mission is honor, empower, and motivate our wounded vets to live an active lifestyle. And we have skydiving program. We have a scuba diving program, help our athletes get certified as a scuba diver or skydiving license certified so they could jump out of planes themselves. But what attracted me to these guys was they help wounded vets through athletic events, Spartan races, CrossFit competitions, or whatever you would like to do, where somebody comes to us and said, hey, I need assistance through this. Can you bring a team out to help us? So one of the things that I met these guys at a Spartan race, and they assisted me through a race. And I said, man, how do I become a team member? And a team member, it's one of the things to be on the team is you have to be a vet. And what did we talk about earlier? You left that military culture where we kind of think a lot of the same. And I had to go through a very physical weekend down at Fort Bragg. And I became a team member going through, we call it NDOC. And going through that, and as difficult as it was, I won't get too much into it, but going through something like that, I realized I got to stop using my leg as an excuse for things in my life. Like nothing could stop me. I could still do things that I missed doing or once was able to do. And it was so important to me. But I think one of the biggest starts was stepping out of my comfort zone and actually realizing like how am I ever going to get into a happy environment once again unless I step out and try to find it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think that's the hardest part with some guys, and especially when it comes to battling mental adversity. See, it all ties in together to me. And that's why I get very broad with the things I talk about. But anybody could face this stuff. Like, yeah, I lost my leg, and yeah, I lost my twin brother. But everybody's dealing with their own adversity out there. And what I'm talking about here isn't a text, like it's not from a textbook. It's just from my experience and my ideas. And if I can spread that ideas out to other people and understand, like when the Army goes through their mental health briefings and PowerPoints of suicide,
Yeah.
all that bullshit in their ACE cards and stuff like that. It's like the Army's trying, I feel like sometimes, but I think they're missing a lot of points. Like you throw a guy up there from Harvard with all the degrees, like the Joes don't give a shit about that. I think the Joes want something real that they can maybe relate to. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's something I want to give to the big Army. It's that. It's like we're in the right spot. We understand you have to do that check in the box annually of mental adversity. Let's give them something different. Let's give them something else. And I talk to a lot of military units about this stuff, and hopefully it's just reaching out to somebody. They can understand my ideas. That makes sense.
Yeah, I find it's a common theme when I talk to people who are in positions like you, that it's really like find a group. If you want to be around veterans again, find a group of veterans to be around, or if you want to do some sort of sporting activity, something that you like, go to the gym, meet friends there, people that are like-minded like yourself, and I know it really helps out. Just being around people like that.
I think that's in any culture. When you're removed from that culture, you're trying to find people that you can relate to. And sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone. And there's nothing wrong with finding, I don't want to say a new culture, but you don't know what's out there. There's something else that you may enjoy as well. Now, things I talk about is you look at the military, and we all know what our purpose is in the military, and all that passion that comes with it, like Army and the Marines duking it out, the Blue Corps of the infantry and the Army, all 311 with the Marines, all that passion that comes with it, and it's like people bleed it, and you're part of something bigger than yourself. That's self-explanatory. When we leave the Army, man, it's all that is gone. Unless you don't have if you don't have a plan B, it's easy to feel lost up there. Especially these guys in their late 20s. They're still so young. Let's try to fill in those gaps once again. That's where I talk about Operation Enduring Warrior. Like I said, we're all veterans out there, and we're not some drinking club or anything like that. We're just guys out there trying to empower wounded veterans to live an active lifestyle. And I'll be honest with you, even though I'm a team member, these guys are empowering me. I look at I'll give you an example. My buddy Matthew Bradford, he's a wounded Marine. He was wounded in Iraq in Al Anbar Providence, and I believe it was Haditha. And he lost one leg above the knee, one leg below the knee, and he's blind. Well, Matthew comes to us, this Marine corporal, and he says, I need assistance hand biking through a half marathon. Well, this guy's blind, and he wants to hand bike through a half marathon. We got him through that half marathon.
Wow.
We've done it twice so far. And before we even came along, Matt's been doing this quite a bit. So he's been empowering me personally. And I know there's other guys on my team who feel the same way. I mean, it's just unbelievable, the resiliency and that warrior spirit behind these guys. And these are the type of people I want to be around. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
A guy like Nick Kolchar, Nick's a buddy of mine. His vehicle got hit with an IED in Iraq back in 2008, and he lost both his legs, mid-thigh. And Nick came up to me, and he said, I want to do what you do. I want to run a Spartan race. I'm like, yeah, okay, we could get you through one. So I linked him up with my other guys in Team Oscar Mike. And this race was in, where was it? In Milwaukee, in the Milwaukee Brewers baseball stadium. And it was just 5 miles up and down stairs, whatever it may be. And I said to Nick, you could wear your shorty prosthetics. You could use your wheelchair because it's a baseball stadium. We'll just figure out the stairs. And he says to me, I want to crawl it. And I said, this is a race, and you want to crawl it. And I said, you know what, Nick? I'm not going to let you crawl that alone. So me and him crawled that race. We had the rest of the team around us walking, but I would have never thought that day I was going to crawl a damn Spartan race, but I did it because of him.
Right.
And to me, that's, and who's empowering who here is, I guess, what I'm saying.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like, man, how inspiring is that? And he's never done something like this before. For his first one to crawl, I was like, what do you want to do? Blindfold yourself next time, man? Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's insane. Wow. So you mentioned Enduring Warrior. I'm going to go ahead and put up the link right there if anybody wants to find it. I'll also post it in the comments once we're done here. And as well as Oscar Mike. Definitely support them. They sell apparel as well that goes towards veterans as well, correct?
Correct.
So there's a website for them as well. And both of them, I'll post them both in there, which is awesome, man. You definitely have a very good message, very good outlook on life. And I'll tell you what, man, you're super inspiring. I don't think I'm going to go run a marathon. You didn't inspire me that much. I'm just fat and lazy, don't really want to do it, but good for you, man. I hope everybody that watches this inspire them to do something, man, for sure.
Well, thanks, man. Nick, I mean, believe me, it's my honor to be on your show, man, especially since you're somewhat local too.
Oh yeah. So I got 2 questions for you, 2 last questions. All right. So these are going to be, for best friends or not. All right. Sheets or Wawa?
Oh shit.
Well, man,
You're really going to throw this live on TV?
This is a Pennsylvania thing, man. Anybody from Pennsylvania watching right now is going to know if you're a Sheets or a Wawa guy.
I got to go with Sheets, man.
No, you didn't.
I didn't forget that. You're from the Philly area. Come on.
I just had to lighten it up a little bit. All right, you ready for the last one?
You got it.
Scrapple or no scrapple?
Oh, Scrapple, man.
Oh
Come
man,
on, dude.
we can still be friends, but you have both of those wrong. No, I really appreciate you coming on, man. It was definitely an honor. Definitely hope this story you talking right now hits everybody, and I hope it really helps out, man. Hope it
Well,
helps everybody.
before I
'Cause
go, Nick, I gotta tell you, man. If I can say it, anything, anybody out there, you know, in life, you're gonna face some heavy fucking shit. No matter who you are, military or not, you're gonna face some heavy shit at some point in your life. I think everybody has that moment in your life, no matter what. Understand, man, that you never have to carry that shit by yourself. Look at the people around you, and sometimes it might not be the ones that you exactly think that are supposed to help you. You know, sometimes we always go to our family, and family is so important, I feel like, but sometimes your family might be in distress as well, or they just don't know how to talk to you, or they don't know how to help you. That's why I challenge everybody, change that attitude of that shitty attitude that I once had. And I'm only saying that because I could relate to that. And step out of that comfort zone and find those things that help you and those people that can help you. But if you get that help from somebody, you better get your ass out there and help somebody else out. You know,
absolutely, that's awesome, man. That's
Nick, man, thanks a bunch for having me. Check out Operation Enduring Warrior. Check out Oscar Mike. And by all means, man, thank you again.
absolutely. And I just want to leave the offer out there. Anytime you want to come back, man, you got anything going on, just let me know, man. You're always welcome. And definitely keep in contact since we're both local.
Absolutely, man. I'll come down and egg Wawa with you, man.
Yeah, sounds like fun. All right, everybody tuning in. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Definitely check out our next podcast on the 26th. We will have Dale King from Doc Spartan on. Should be a good show. And thank you. Take care.
Thanks, man. Take care, you guys.